We,
Yeah, just a second.
good evening. Hello to all. And you are at the Historic Preservation Commission meeting tonight. It's Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, 6 p.m. And if we can have a call to order, please.
Commissioner Bruce Trimber,
Present?
Commissioner Jesse Solomon,
Present.
Commissioner Josh Simpson,
Present.
Commissioner Evan Goodwin,
Present.
Commissioner Mary Box Bell,
Present.
Commissioner Michael LeVecchio, and Commissioner Carrie Schmelter.
So we do have a quorum. Very good. Notice regarding adjournment, the Historic Preservation Commission will not hear new items after 9:30 unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which have not been heard before 9:30 may be continued to the next regular meeting or special meeting date as determined by the commission members. Notice regarding public comments, just questioned, do we have any public comments today?
We do not.
But anyway, here we go. Every member of the public who is recognized to speak shall address the chairman and in speaking avoid disrespect to commission, staff, or other members of the meeting. State your name and address when speaking for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Looking for the adoption of the agenda as written. Can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for adoption of the agenda.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye. Agenda passed. Adoption of minutes as written for the May 4th, 2022 minutes. Everybody have a chance to review that, and can I get a motion?
I move to approve the May 4th minutes.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Adoption of minutes as written. Thank you for the well-written minutes. Public comments, as we stated, is none. So we're moving on to old business, and I don't think we have any. Any old business? No. So we're going on to you, Katie, for the new business.
We are. So, tonight before us, we have an application for a certificate of appropriateness to allow the demolition of a single-family residential non-contributing structure of approximately 4,000 square feet located at 23 Broon Road, which is in the Old Town Bluffton Historic District. It is zoned neighborhood general HD. This is the site plan of, the site view is messy here, but this is the site plan of the site. So you see this is Broon Road at the front. It has the circle drive and the Spanish style home that is there. It's blue on one side right now, as you can see right here. So this is the front elevation of it. You've seen it as you drive past. This is the front.
And just as a note, we have approved this in prior meetings, so I don't know if that makes any difference to be demolished. Is that?
It does make no difference because
It stands on its own.
the application has expired, and so it is a new application for review. However, yes, it has been reviewed and approved in the past, and there has been no changes to the structure or its contributing status.
Still stands
it was
on
not
its own.
contributing. It is not contributing.
Okay.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted that clarified.
that's all right. This is the rear elevation. So there's a bunch of different pictures of this because as you kind of saw here on the site plan, it's got a handful of little bump outs here. So this is the garage side, which is the blue side. That garage does go all the way through. Then this is a small porch addition that's been enclosed. And then this side is the white portion of the house, which you can see here. So this is that white portion. Here's that porch bump out. This is the other side of the porch bump out. The back of that porch bump out, and then here's that blue garage piece that goes all the way through. Here are your side elevations. So this is the side that is the left of the structure or closest to the four-way stop. This is the right of the structure or closer to Burnt Church Road, which it's nowhere near Burnt Church Road, but it's facing that direction. And that is all I have to show you on the screen tonight, but with a demolition of a non-contributing structure, the AHPC takes into consideration the 8 review criteria, which are found in section 318.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance, and are authorized to approve the application submitted by the applicant, approve the application with conditions, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. We do have the applicant here tonight with us. They moved sides on me here. So if you have any questions for them, I'd be happy to open the floor up to them. But
Any comments?
None?
Okay.
the applicant has no comments. So town staff finds that, I can't type, but the town staff finds that the ordinance has been met and recommends approval.
And again, reiteration, this was approved previously, and we went through the concept. Now it's owned by a new owner, and it just that had expired, so there we go. Any concerns, discussion from the commission? If not, I'd like to look for a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the request as submitted.
I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Looks like it was passed unanimously, so, we expect a crane out in front of there or something, a steam shovel,
Sledgehammer.
sledgehammer, steam shovel,
David wants to do it by hand.
Perfect. I will follow.
You're
up
gonna,
as well.
one by one, yeah.
And that's all we have for this one.
Now, somebody spent some money on painting that thing.
Yeah.
It was a wrong idea.
It was your idea.
You can't put lipstick on that bit.
Oh, I know, I was scratching my head when I saw that, yeah.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. Thank you all.
Perfect.
Thank
And I
you.
will follow up with you tonight. Thank you for your time. You're welcome to stay through the rest of the meeting, or you can escape and,
So what will we be, will we be receiving something from you tonight, you said?
no, I'm not going to do anything after this meeting. However, I will write you tomorrow. I will write you a letter tomorrow.
All right, we got closing tomorrow.
All right. So this is our second item here. This is a request for a public project to allow the construction of additional parking with sidewalk improvements, a dumpster enclosure, and a mural to the outdoor pavilion and passive recreation area located at 55 Wharf Street. That is known as Oyster Factory Park, and it is in the Old Town Bluffton Historic District. This one is zoned riverfront edge because it does front the river. This area here is the area that will be modified, so it is the parking on the left side of the road, or the side that has the pavilion, not the side that has the Garvin house on it. And I have two pictures here of it in its current state. Here is a portion of the site plan. It is long and narrow, so it is on 2 different pages here. I zoomed in extra close on those plant schedules just for you, Jesse. So here is that existing pavilion with the bathroom structure at the bottom of the page. Is my mouse showing up on the screen? No, I was gonna ask you that earlier. Yeah, let's do it with this one. Yeah, there we go. So here is that existing pavilion area, and here is the bathroom facility. So the river is right here on the side, and the Oyster Factory is about here. And then this is the second half of it. So this is the existing parking area. And then this is Bridge Street right here with Wharf Street continuing this direction to end up at the dock. What they are proposing, and Pat is here to speak on behalf of the project from our engineering department. However, what they're proposing is to make these parking improvements. They've installed an island with some parking in the center, as well as the sidewalk to connect here along the side so that you don't have to walk in the street as you go up towards the Oyster Factory. The mural that I was discussing is, my mouse is still not showing up, so I can't do that there. So here's that sidewalk I was talking about that's going to connect it together. It runs this whole area here so that you can park. They're formalizing the dumpster area right now. As you're probably all familiar, they have some really nice green trash cans that sit along the fence line. So this right here is in theory to get rid of that, except for during special events when you'd still need some pedestrian scaled trash receptacles.
We'll still have some trash cans laying around, won't we, to move around? Just a question. Don't know.
If you could come up, if you're going to speak, I can have you speak into the mic.
Because
so that
those
it
are,
goes
you know,
into
when you
the-
got an event going on, those are just handy to be rolling around.
For special events, yes, but this is just the
Okay.
formalized area.
Permanently be there.
I see no reason why we couldn't.
I mean, you can come up here too, but just as long as it's into a microphone.
Want to share?
Happy to.
Is this on?
No, I don't believe so. It's red.
It's red.
Is it red? Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I couldn't see any reason why we couldn't keep some of those in place.
Somewhere.
We were advised at the time of doing the site plan that we needed to have a dumpster at this location, a permanent dumpster, so, yeah, I don't see any reason why we.
How many car spaces you had?
Gosh, it's been so long since we've done this site. I think 55, and then we have some additional car parking.
Yeah,
Oh,
this right
good.
here is
So-
cart parking.
55, 60, something like that.
Yeah, right now, the site has mostly boat parking, if you do there, so there's not a lot of designated car parking or cart parking, so that's what we're.
I'm the parking attendant for when we have the Christmas service, you know, the candlelight, and I'm the one responsible for getting everybody crammed in there, so boy, we could use some extra parking.
There's no tree removal plan.
There is not on this set of plans. However, they are saving the larger oaks that are clustered here. There's two that are saved here, and then these saved here, and oops, down here, these are also being saved. So if you look at the,
And I noticed, for some strange reason, but there is a very large ash tree on that property.
There is, what we tried to do in the site planning of this was we tried to work around trees best we could. We kept the perimeter buffer on, you know, the residential side, on the street side, and in between the two parking, the existing parking and this. And then where we could, we arranged islands around trees. There is, I think you're referring, it probably is a hickory tree, but ash, hickory, same family. But there is a live oak in there that's probably the nicest tree on the site, and it's very difficult to, with the circulation and with the stormwater requirements, to save both of those trees. So one of them is probably going to have to go, and we selected the hickory because they're a little bit more sensitive to development around it, whereas the live oak is a little bit more tolerant to development around it. So we had to make a decision on that one tree. Regrettably, couldn't keep every, but we did try to put parking islands in where we have trees. And just keep in mind that there is a significant stormwater system underneath the gravel parking lot that will impact trees, so we had to make one regrettable decision to take out one hickory tree.
But it's just been nice to have included in the submittal, to be able to see existing tree, existing canopy, and what is actually being removed, as opposed to just what's being kept.
do you have a list of what's being on there?
We did submit that, so, but if you need,
For the development plan?
I have an exhibit here if you like.
I'm sure you're required, just like anybody else, to get a tree removal permit, aren't you?
Yeah, they actually, for this, because it is a development plan, it doesn't require a specific tree removal permit because the tree removal is reviewed through the development, or the public project, which goes through the development plan process.
Being reviewed by someone.
Yes, the planning commission is also taking a look at this, but the UDO administrator is the final, no, the planning commission doesn't, but the development review committee does, which is a subset of that planning commission. But then the final review authority is the UDO administrator on public project applications.
Is there a tree removal plan that is presented to them?
Yes, and let's see if I can find. This was the final plan set that was sent over to me. I think
That's all Whitmer Jones Kiefer.
Yeah. This is all I had.
There is an engineering plan for this.
Yes.
And it has tree removal on it, tree protection, fencing, and all that on it. And in addition to that, as a department, what we generally do on something like this is go stake this whole lot out. And then we'll kind of adjust curb lines so that we can save additional trees around the perimeter generally.
In the grand scheme of things, I mean, what else is there for us to focus on? I mean, the majority, like we have a parking lot and we have a wooded area.
It's fun that you ask because I hadn't gotten to the end of my slideshow. There's also
What is the reason for us even to have this in front of the?
So, public projects come before the HPC if they're located within the historic district for comment only. These are things that typically, the reason that they're coming before you is because there's some sort of element of design that is going into them, and they are within the historic district, which the architecture, landscaping, lighting of the historic district is reviewed by the HPC for projects that are not public projects. For
Landscaping, lighting, any vertical structures that are on the site. There's not many in this case.
no, there are not many on this
Dark
in this
skies,
case.
right?
There's a split rail fence that will continue
Dark
along.
skies?
Sorry. There are the columns that have the end caps for the fences. Are going to be some brick paving that goes along it, as well as tabby paving, a dumpster enclosure, and these mural features here. The mural, the design of that is not set in stone, which it ironically is kind of set in stone since those are tabby piers that it'll be on, but the actual art itself is being done not by the town of Bluffton. It's through is it the Coastal Conservation League? Is that what it's called?
Ocean Conservancy, something like that?
Yes, and it's the Bottle Cap Mural Project. So these will not be going in right away necessarily, but they are something that we wanted to make sure we got in front of you for the structure themselves, not the design of the art, because the design of the art is going to be art. It doesn't really matter what it is as long as the structure itself is approvable. And then the dumpster enclosure here, which is 6 feet in height and is made of wood. So in summary, for applications that are in the historic district, we bring them before you. This is so that we have comment from the HPC that the UDO administrator can take into consideration as she makes her decision. This project specifically is fairly minimal because it doesn't have much architecture to it. Where we were running into challenges with this was when they demolished the structure that was located in what is now, which part is that? Right, Martin Family Park.
Existing homes.
It's the one that it's Martin Family Park, right? Martin Family Park. So the demolition of that building, as well as the renovation of the now bathroom structure that's there, the renovation of the garage that's at the Squire Pope Carriage House site. The Garvin Garvey House would be a public project, but it's obviously something that has a lot of architecture involved in it, and so it comes before the HPC to review those items. This one specifically has less to go into it besides the landscaping that you've seen on the application. Yes, I'm sorry, I thought the tree removal was marked on this set of plans. There's a set of plans that was presented to the Development Review Committee that does show the tree removal on it. That was not in the set of plans that I received for this, I'm sorry. But then the dumpster detail and the
Could you go back
mural.
and show me where the dumpsters are? just
Yes,
for
sir, I
How are you
can.
going to get into them and out of them? I mean, are you going to be able to?
Right here at the bottom.
Right here in the corner so that the truck can
You have-
come.
Okay.
It pulls in, this still doesn't show up on the screen, so.
You have gravel way and you're in and out.
It'll
okay.
pull in here and then, or in here.
Okay, yes.
This is what noise the dump truck makes.
And then the art installation on this plan is what's over on the,
It
right
is
to the, once
right
they do.
here.
Yep.
So it's tucked way back behind, here's the pavilion, the bathroom is in the bottom corner here. The pavilion is up here. This is tucked back into the corner of the property there. So it won't be incredibly visible from the street because it will be back far enough from Bridge Street, but you'll be able to see it as you come through the parking area to get to the facilities.
The bottom line, it's adding 55, 60 parking spaces which are needed, so good.
Yes, and the original version of this plan, it came through, and the staff that reviews the public projects, Jordan Holloway, Dan Frazier, myself, Kevin Eichert, we all looked at it and said, whoa, there are no trees left. And so this has been revised to take into account some of those tree removal things. Pat also looked at it, and I know he made a lot of comments for it. Believe it or not, Pat is in the engineering department, but is also the Lorax. So he has worked in the planning department before he worked in engineering, so he's into saving the trees here. But this, specifically this giant tree here, was one that we wanted to make sure that there was a substantial island around it because it is such a big, prominent tree on that site. And then these in the corner here where there was that big, oops, I can't aim with this thing, cluster of trees in this corner. And I've got.
There was consideration made on the property a couple times, sounds like, in order to save
Yes.
as many trees as possible.
You know, we looked at multiple alternative site plans, we looked at angled parking, lots of different types, and it's turned out this to be probably the most sensitive and most efficient.
Thank you, Tom. All right. That said, I guess, any further discussion?
Just another question.
Yes.
So Katie, it looks like staff recommendations are stated to provide further detail as it relates to the tree protection.
Yeah, just the tree protection fencing. The fencing detail has not been provided. It will show up on a set of plans, and I'm not too concerned about it not being able to be provided. It just hadn't been provided at this time. And then the second one was that all comments by the DRC will need to be addressed, which that is a standard comment for these public projects or for development plans that.
This is yet to go to DRC, correct?
It has been to DRC.
Do we have those comments?
They're in your packet, and
Can
they
we-
are right here.
Fresh memory of those comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does the plant schedule, is that what's currently there or what they're going to install?
Some of it is already there, but a majority of it is what is being installed, I believe. Let me pull it up. So first, I'm going to go with the DRC comments so I can have.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So the first one was the light, the photometrics for it needed to be provided, and that those lights would need to be coordinated around the trees. There were a couple locations where there was a bit of a conflict between the canopy of a low tree and the light that was being proposed. They are working on getting those back to us. The future work, there was some work that was being proposed that isn't part of this phase of the project, so it's just to note that that's not being done at this time and remove it. And then the plant schedule, which has been added to the set of plans that we have, so that was what was running along the side of those two slides. They have updated that, as well as the note that it needs to come before you all for comment to get us a dumpster enclosure, bottle cap mural, and any other vertical elements, which those were included on the slides that I showed you tonight. And then the tree protection fence needs to be put up before that. So these were the comments from DRC, along with accessible parking signage for the handicap spaces that are being proposed.
That helps clarify it.
One addition to the lighting will be the standard shepherd's crook, low to the ground fixtures.
The ones that are on May River, same kind?
Yes, same kind.
And then Carrie, to answer your question, all of the things that are the dark here are the things that are being proposed. The ones that are grayed out towards the background, that is what is being kept. So these here with the circle around it, that's being kept. And then this is being installed here along with these here to create a better buffer behind that and the neighboring.
It's not showing up, your thing.
Of course it isn't, because
sorry.
I don't learn, guys, sorry. So, so this stuff here is the new, there, you can see kind of in the background, see that like 10, Hickory 10 right there. Those are the ones that are being saved. So this dotted line here, saved. This in between is all new. Over here, this stuff is all new.
And that all
Obviously, being
works
the
with the-
town, we have to be doing things right, correctly, by putting the orange fences around, making sure that they're not destroyed by the contractor, making sure that we're leading by example of how it needs to be done, so I'm sure that's going to be done.
But all those work with the stormwater
Yes.
I know a lot of times people start without anything so that then they meet in the middle and compromise and it looks better, but I would just hope that y'all really would save as many trees, even if it means 3 or 4 fewer parking spots.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And it looks like that's been addressed though in the DRC, is that correct? You have to be in compliance.
For the tree,
Yes.
yes, it'll need to be addressed. That's all I have for the elements that are being proposed here. This is, because it is a public project, I'm going to use my words, guys, you're going to be so proud of me. Because it is a public project, the HPC has the authority to recommend to the UDO administrator, recommend approval as submitted by the applicant, recommend approval with conditions, or recommend denial of the application submitted by the applicant. The UDO administrator, again, is that final review authority. However, we would like to make sure that those comments are passed along as that decision is being made.
Biggest thing that I have a hard time just granting an approval of this on are the lack of the information as it relates to the trees. And I understand that the homework's been done, it's just not here for us to see. And the second thing is the bottle cap murals. Especially in just looking at this and seeing a bottle cap mural of seahorses and orange starfish. I don't see that being at home in that area. So Katie, I'm asking for some help here. If I were to try to draft a motion to approve this, I would want to do so in a manner that recommended the removal of the bottle cap murals.
Where are those going?
The bottle cap, you know, one of the things we have to watch here is art is a personal opinion.
I agree.
And when we, as a commission, start scrutinizing art, it becomes really tricky and really, what you like Picasso, I like Monet. So I think we're walking a fine line there that I don't believe we have authority to talk about.
What I can say,
No, I respect that side of the conversation, but at the same time, that is my stance.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, as I kind of mentioned, this is a example of what it could potentially be. This is art that was provided by, nope, the art wasn't. This is just pictures that are laid on top of this by the engineering firm that has worked on this.
No, there was an artist that actually did this.
For these specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't tell you the name at this point, but he's well respected, but.
But
He lives
these
right there on,
specific images aren't what is being proposed, are they? They are. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they align with the
Then in that
number
case,
of.
if these are the images that are being proposed and you are in conflict with these images, I would encourage you to recommend to the UDO administrator that the bottle cap mural portions that are elements that are not native to this area be replaced with images of native species or something similar to that, if that's.
I think it's a great opportunity to be able to tell a history. And I agree with the concept of art being in the eye of the beholder. But if we're going especially given the fact that this is not a private project, this is a public project, and this is on public land that is going to be paid for by taxpayers, this is an opportunity to spread knowledge, spread awareness. And to me, that holds more bearing than, say, art, especially when what's being presented to HPC today contains elements that aren't even in our river.
That's a really good point.
That doesn't make any sense to have yellow seahorses.
I would encourage you to include that comment in your recommendation then.
Where in the site map are these going? Is it that?
Going in that one corner by the bathroom.
Off to one side, behind the
that's what I'm
restrooms, if you're familiar with this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, behind the restrooms and off to the east of the pavilion. It's something you'd walk by, but it's not something that's gonna, we looked at 3 different locations for this, and the town council selected this location because it was a little more remote, wasn't it, along the street, a little bit more blended. As far as the artwork, you know, we included this in our application at the request of growth management. We are not constructing these. These are being done as a kind of a volunteer group of, you know, the Palmetto Ocean Conservancies. They've done these things in other locations, and they came to our town manager to ask for permission to put them somewhere in one of the town parks. We looked at 6 different locations for it, and this is the location that we came up with as probably most related to water activity of all of our parks and most appropriate. So as far as if you want to exclude this from your approval, that would be fine with us. Again, the town council has had input into this, and this is the location that they had approved to put them.
So this has been presented to the town council, and this is their recommendation on where to put these items.
I don't think that,
I'm interested in the parking lot, the lighting, the walkways, the access things.
And this is just an embellishment that is possible.
Yes,
And
and
it sounds like you said volunteers, so it's not actually money.
we don't have this in our particular budget. We're hoping that they've come to us saying that they would build it, they would construct it. We're showing you what that would look like with the images that they provided to us.
I would just hope that they would pick images that are at least indigenous to our area.
But again, these aren't even what's going to be proposed, but
That's
it
what-
goes back to,
They said that they are, though.
I pulled some previous images that I may be mistaken.
These are images that were provided to us by the Conservancy. And
as a possibility or as what they're actually going to be providing.
this is what they're recommending.
I see, okay.
So if there is a concern about it, then I would put that as a condition or exclusion from the approval, and we'll, you know, go back to them and say,
You just want to build a parking lot.
I want to proceed with the parking lot, the landscaping, the lighting,
And saving of the trees.
yeah.
And I'm all for, you know, improving the parking, improving the situation that we have down there. And that needs to happen. And, you know, I'm in total agreement with 97% of everything that's here. I just want to see I want to see the trees that are coming out. Like, without having to take this and go out and walk the property.
I'll be glad to
You know what I mean?
walk with you on that.
I'd be happy to do that. But I want to see the trees that we are going to take down on behalf of the town with the town's money. This is not a private deal. And the second thing is, I'm a strong advocate for education as it relates to our waterways, as it relates to the history of the oyster and the shrimping industry within this community. And I don't know that there is any placard that really even starts to tell that story. And what better place to do it than where a large percentage of our Beaufort County population is going to be accessing the May River by the oldest operating oyster factory in South Carolina. And we are reviewing a yellow seahorse. Sorry. But I would frame a motion that states approval pending review of tree removal as well as consideration taken in utilizing the currently proposed bottle cap art placards as educational tools.
With that being said, do we have any additional comments from the commission?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, I do, looking at the site, I'll just note on this, I do think that, I don't know, I struggle a little bit on this board with what HPC is really reviewing. I'll be honest, when I looked at the application, my only thing, even as a landscape architect, I was trying to just focus honestly on the art pieces and the vertical elements, just because, I mean, that is what I feel like the DRC is doing. I know when I first started here, I would have like a million comments, and I'm sure Katie was like, that's not at all. I don't know. So I mean, part of it, I purposely did not review the overall site plan, just those like those elements. I mean, the only thing I do see the point on those art pieces being like representative of species, at least that are to Bluffton. And, but I do think that that's a decent location. My only comment was going to be, these are pushing almost 10 feet. And if that plant material, I couldn't see this plant material behind it, there was some viburnum, maybe something a little bit bigger to screen it was going to be my only thing, just for, I believe it's residents that's there. But yeah, I mean, I generally agree with all of
In other words, what's the
Josh's
back of that
comments.
going to look like?
They're huge. They're huge.
Yeah, so is that artwork on the front and the back, or just the?
It's just the front, and right now, I mean, they're screening, I mean, over time, this is a viburnum hedge that they're proposing that'll just have, that area will really go away, is what's being proposed on that site, you know, right next to the dumpster. The whole intent of this, or at least as I'm, is for a pretty big evergreen hedge for that area. So, I mean, that's the right choice there. But no, as currently, they're just, you know, it's just one-sided art pieces because they're just oriented towards the arch sidewalk there.
Okay.
It backs up to kind of a natural area between the restrooms and what will be the sidewalks. The back of these things, I would assume they would be painted dark green or black, something would recede into the landscapes. But again, that can be a condition or a suggestion or recommendation. You suggest that the hedge be larger?
There's been a lot of research done recently. There's been a lot of good books published as it relates to the shrimping industry, you know, here in the Low Country, as it relates to, you know, the oystering industry. I just think that, like, that place, you know, there's a heck of a great opportunity to do something that is that provides legacy and memorial for you know, the bounty that this river has provided the area, and you know, the people that have come before us that have worked and you know, toiled on the river.
The shrimping season opened today, and Larry was out at 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, it's almost laughable to me to see that art in that location. I'd really.
Any further discussion? Looks like, would you like to put a motion together?
I'd love to.
Thank you.
Please note, it's a recommendation of approval, or a recommendation of denial, or a recommendation of whatever it is. So just note the
I'm
language.
sorry?
Sorry.
Did you catch
It's just
that?
a recommendation.
So,
These are recommendations?
because it's going to go before ultimate, you know, it's going to go further to the Development Review Committee. I think this is our opportunity for us to let them hear our opinion.
And this is all going to be presented to town council? Is that correct, or no?
No, the master plan is reviewed by town council, but the master plan has been approved
It's been approved,
previously
so-
by town council. This is just the DRC, the HPC for comment, and then the UDO administrator for final determination.
So the UDO administrator is who?
Heather Colon.
Okay, so she'll be, okay.
I would like to make a motion that we approve. We recommend the approval of the proposal based on staff recommendations, as well as further review of the tree removal plans and the replacement of the bottle cap murals with works to provide education as it relates to the history of the May River's watermen and fisheries industry. Watermen and women. That's it.
Water people.
Water people.
I'll
Motion.
second it.
We're in a motion. I have to,
We have a second already.
did I get a second?
Oh, I
Okay.
second it.
So we're open to, now we're in a motion, so we have to have further discussion. And can I get comment?
It's only discussion.
Only discussion on the commission. Okay, so all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nothing opposed, so that motion is stated. Do you want to repeat that motion just to make sure that we're,
Yes, I will follow up tomorrow. It is a recommendation of approval with staff recommendation and further review of the tree removal and replacement of the bottle cap mural with works to promote education as it relates to the fishermen and women of the May River and the history.
good? All right, so the motion passes. Did you want to mention anything?
Can I, as it relates to the watermen and women and the history of the fisheries, oystering, shrimping, crabbing. Just wanna-
Yes, and I'll listen back to the motion actually in the recording before I write the formal letter. That is.
Right. When are you going to take that dead tree down at the park that's been hanging over?
And on that, Pat, have a wonderful evening because that is not what we were discussing tonight. And so I am going to move on from that, but I
I
will
just
follow
thought,
up with
I don't see you anymore, so I just wanted to ask that question. Get it out of there. All right, now we're on to our next item.
our final item of the evening. Is,
Thank you, and thank you for your work that you do in our town, making it look wonderful.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mary, if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to. If
Keep
you
it
want to
up.
sit there, you are also welcome to. The final application we have before us tonight is a review of a certificate of appropriateness to allow the construction of a new two-story carriage house of approximately 704 square feet located at 25 Merriweather, which is identified as Lot 6 in the Landon Oaks development here in the Old Town Bluffton Historic District, and it is zoned Neighborhood General HD. This is the lot right here. Oops, I'm sorry. Right here, the yellow highlighting did a terrible job on top of the orange because I used yellow and
That's the
orange.
house that's presently being constructed, correct?
There are several that are being constructed. This is the one that has the
Foundation only?
foundation only. I actually took this picture right here today, so you
you.
can see this has got the foundation. Here's the one that's fully under construction. And then the one that's complete is across the street from this one, the one that is also under construction to the right of that, closest to Stock Farm. This has a carriage house that was already approved. They're proposing to replace the carriage house that was approved with a different carriage house. It adds about 200 square feet to that carriage house when you enclose the space. The area that is being closed right here, and then they're shifting it so that instead of coming in and pulling into the carriage house, a car would go like that. Now it goes straight into the carriage house instead of having to tuck behind the structure. The floor plans are as proposed here. So the ground floor has the garage with the golf cart bay as the second one. It is a smaller bay door there. And then the second floor has the breakfast nook and kitchen. It's just a loft living space with a kitchen and bathroom facility in it. These are the elevations. So the front elevation is what you would see as you pulled in. That is the one in the bottom right corner. The rear elevation is on the, obviously, back of that, which faces the open space parcel and then the cove beyond. The left elevation is going to be, showing it here, the stairs. So the left elevation is what faces the parcel that does not have a building yet proposed on it, and the right elevation, which has the delete this door on it because that door will not be actually on there, this one here, is going to be facing the house that is fairly far in construction, but under construction to the left of the,
Basically the west side.
yep, that is another way to phrase it. And then this is the section that was provided for the wall section of this structure. It doesn't have a landscape plan or any other plan because this is going to fit in with the landscape plan that was approved with the certificate of appropriateness for the primary structure and this carriage house. The plantings that were in that area, there were no trees that are being disturbed by this. The bushes that will just shift to go along with the carriage house from one direction to the next. So it does not affect the landscape plan of this. I did put this in here because this is the primary structure. This is the lot that had the hipped roof structure in it. So this carriage house actually
Is matching what's being constructed.
yes, it actually does a better job relating to the primary structure than the originally approved carriage house, which still had that gable roof to it. So the carriage house, which is less visible from the street, still had the gable roof. Now it has a hipped roof to match the primary structure here. This is a certificate of appropriateness, so this one is a normal review. And so you consider the 8 criteria, section 318.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance when you make a decision, and you are authorized to approve the application as submitted by the applicant, approve the application with conditions, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. And then the recommendation from staff is to replace the plywood material in the soffit with something that is a permitted material, and then revise the windows to be more similar to those on the primary. They have proposed windows that are on here. It may just be that it is not clear from the set of plans that we had, and they do actually match exactly the ones that are on the building.
Was there a window schedule or no?
No,
So windows, you pretty much gonna just use the same windows that you used on the house, flipping them into here?
if you're going to speak, I would need you to come up to the microphone, please.
Could you come up, yeah? Could the applicant, could the-
Couldn't get my nod, I don't know.
Nope.
No, we can't get that, no, so we need, yeah, it's hard to, she can't register that, thank you.
Okay, correct. We're gonna use the same windows in the carriage house that we're using on the main house.
Okay.
So that's these here.
May I ask just a quick question? If we were to take that stairway and move it around to the back of the structure, is that gonna be a big deal?
Can we look at the site?
Just, spitball here.
It does have to, that's an interesting question. Katie, that could be possibly approved by staff, but it has to be, you have to submit that so that your drawings,
Correct, we would. The reason I'm asking is it actually allows us to slide the carriage house over to that 5-foot setback and makes it easier for a car to get past the corner of the house and get into the garage. So if we shift that stairwell around the back, we can do that. Also, quite honestly, it gets it out of sight because it sits back there on the cove when you do that.
that would, we would have to have new drawings so that when you're completed, to get your CO, it's like, well, you didn't build it per plans, what are you doing? So,
So it would require an amendment, but you cannot amend plans that have not been approved. So,
Like if this were to happen in the future, that would be done.
I mean, well,
There are a couple of benefits. I mean, he gets it out of the setback. He gets the, he gets the stairs out of the
We've
setback.
got 3 feet on the stairs now. It'd be great to go ahead and just move the entire structure over that 5 feet, get the stairwell out of everybody's face and around the back of the structure.
okay. So the application, which has been submitted,
Thank you, Kate.
yeah.
has this as what is proposed.
so we have to approve this.
And this is what a motion has
I
to
know, I
be.
understand. I was just asking a general question. Thank you for the sidebar.
Approve of what if, we have to.
No, I understand. I was just asking. It was just clearly just, simply just a.
May
Could
I
we
ask,
make, Katie, could we make in the motion that we could approve as is, but if changes were to be made to the staircase, he doesn't have to submit it to this, or does he have to bring it to this board?
That
again?
should not be included in your motion because there is a
Because
process
there's
laid out
nothing-
in the UDO for an amendment to a certificate of
I
appropriateness.
will bring an amendment back. I just want to make sure that.
Okay,
And if it does not substantially deviate from the approval by the HPC, then it can be approved at a staff level. That is how it is
That's
laid
what
out
I'm-
in the
that's-
UDO. We do not want this board to comment on that specifically because it is something that would be determined at the time an amendment came through. An
Okay.
amendment cannot be proposed until after an approval has been issued.
very good, understood.
Because we
Thank
can't
you.
amend something that
Yes.
isn't there.
So we're supposed to go,
The exception to this would be if it were exactly the right elevation would become the rear and the rear elevation would become the right, and you are shifting the windows as they look, but that's going to mess with the roof line, so that's not going to work that way. So it is a moot point.
so I guess you're going to have to take it up at
That's
that
fine.
time.
Again, I was just
Yeah, we,
curious, so.
May I ask, why would the roof structure remain the same on the carriage house if it was required to be? Is that something that we did? I mean,
Yeah.
and we didn't require it to be changed on both?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just curious.
So
It's,
it has to have the same characteristic as the primary structure, but that does not necessarily always mean that the roof has to be the exact same shape.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I was just wondering if
It
it
is
was like an
likely something we
oversight.
should have probably
Yeah,
mentioned then.
okay. I just was wondering if that was,
so with that being said, do you need any additional information, any further discussion, or we really can't do anything about that, but
I was just,
let's just throw it,
Katie loves it when I ask questions, so.
Yeah. I'm looking for any further discussion, and if not, looking for a motion, please.
I'd like to have some discussion.
Yes, please.
The wall section itself doesn't show a whole lot of detail. That there's some missing information on what relates to the actual elevations. For instance, there's no band board shown. The overhang is not shown, although it's called out on the elevations. It's shown a plumb cut on the wall section versus an angled cut on the elevations themselves. And there's kind of a general lack of details in general. And maybe that's because it was intended to match the main house, but I'm not familiar with this process when it's changed under construction just on one structure.
Yes.
Katie's
So,
thinking. I'm going to let you.
what?
I said you're thinking or looking for.
I don't think that's not my job. Just kidding. So the band board detail has. The reason I don't have those two things called out is because on this set of plans, they do have it called out that it is going to be the 5/4 inch material here with a 2x pressure treated. So they've called out that
Okay.
section here. Should it be on the wall plan or the wall section? Yes, it should. However, it is identified on these plans, and it will be something that we look for on the building permit set as well as when I'm in the field doing the inspection, because it does have to match those elevations.
Okay.
So while the sections and details are not inclusive of all of those items, there are locations that show those items elsewhere in the plan set.
Okay.
And it's not showing anything, it's missing from it, but not showing something conflicting in the wall section, which is when I do start to have an issue with.
Okay.
But it is
that.
spelled out somewhere on the drawings.
Yes, so it's got, there's no water table on this one because it's at grade, so the base won't have a water table, but the band board is shown on this here.
And will there be, there's exposed foundation on the wall section. Will there be exposed foundation on the elevations? Because they just kind of, they'll look like they come up, grade up to the actual siding, and there's no real separation. So just, I mean, there's just consistency things that I know will have to be included on a permit set.
yeah, it's showing what, an 8-inch review?
I think it says 3 inches, but I can,
I had one comment also about the actual floor structure itself. Just based off of the level heights, a ceiling height of 9 foot 1.5 in the actual garage, and then the second floor is a 9 foot 8. That's 6.5 inches of structure and flooring, which seems a little light. I don't know if this has been through structural engineering yet or not, but I don't know if that's something we're even supposed to comment on for HPC. It just concerns me.
if it concerns you, you're welcome to comment on it. However, it will be something that building safety
Okay.
takes a look at. It does say 8 inches here, but If you have a comment on it, you are welcome to.
I guess I'm not really
Otherwise-
asking questions, I'm just making
Oh.
comments on it.
You can ask that they do update that so that it is reflective of the amount of grade that's shown.
Okay.
So you're getting some free consulting in regards to cleaning your drawings up or not? No, you got to submit as this, but the possibility of,
This is what it is.
Very good at
Five
catching
it is.
mistakes by our CAD guy, I can tell you that.
so consider that free consulting.
Considered it, thank you.
This is not the right PowerPoint.
Okay. Any further discussions?
Do we have, I know that, I remember when the main house went before us, and, the conversations about moving things around on the property line, which side of the driveway things were gonna be on. And I was just looking through some of the feedback from, bear with me one second. Make sure I get the committee right. From the plan review comments for COFA 422
I can pull it up.
from, is it growth management? The carriage house proposes 5 different window types which differ from the 3 types on the approved primary structure. Revise the windows to be more in line with the primary structure. It also states carriage, the approved primary structure has a hip roof, vertical railing, balustrades, and vertical siding on the side bump out where the carriage house proposes gable roofs, horizontal balustrades, and siding on the full structure. Revise the carriage house to share the same general character as the primary structure. It looks like some of those adjustments were made. The main one that I don't see is, and if I missed it, I apologize, but any vertical siding elements. So I'm just trying to picture the carriage house tucked behind the main house from the street.
So there was no vertical, final answer, siding that was added to the carriage house. It's not necessarily necessary unless you feel that it is. It is a much smaller structure. It was, the comment by staff for the conceptual was that they're all different. And so they've changed the railings to be, I can do this, vertical.
Right.
For some reason, I can't do vertical and horizontal today, guys. So they've changed the railings that these, still doesn't work. The railings on here were horizontal. Now they've been switched to vertical. They've reduced the number of windows from 5 to 3, but they still appear to be different sizes than the ones on the primary structure. It's these here, I'm not sure where those would be on the primary structure. And then just with the set of plans that we were provided, these here don't quite align with what was.
So if someone's making a motion, make sure that you mention that the window concept is to
Yeah.
be of similar window schedule as the main house, just as a cue.
So like these here are close, but not quite the same shape as, those are not similar to any of them, but these here appear to be similar to and potentially the same as, but not quite labeled to scale as this one here, or this one here, not sure which, but then, so it should be the same.
I'm not sure if this matters, but the ones that you're pointing out are the rear elevation, which sits back on the cove. There's literally no way anybody could even see those.
Yeah, and I'm not personally hung up on the windows. I was just reading those prior comments. From an opening standpoint, I do have a question though about the garage doors. What is the texture? What is the finish going to be on the garage doors?
I think we've got them as those horizontal panels right now. Do you need a call out if we're gonna?
So
We talked about putting reclaimed barnwood or something like that on them, but I'm assuming that needs to be called out.
yeah, I would want to include in the motion. I mean, I don't have any hang up on this. I just wanted to get an understanding of how it satisfied those comments, given some of the things that I saw. But when I do see, thank you, Katie, aluminum overhead doors, I visualize flat paneled aluminum doors that are painted and, you know, just the sheen and the texture, it's not going to complement the other aesthetics. So I would want to not see a painted flat panel aluminum or even a pre-finished aluminum garage door there from that standpoint. So, yes, you know, an approval pending, you know, staff review or staff approval of additional garage door information, something along those lines.
Any other comments like that or discussions? No? No additional comments? If that being said, we're, with the discussions we've had, if a motion is being made, please consider the discussions to include that motion. Can be included in the motion. I'm looking for a motion, please.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the submittal based on staff recommendation in addition to further staff review of additionally supplied finished data associated with the garage doors.
Is that specified in the UDO somewhere that we can find it?
You
We
know,
are going to continue this motion.
Right, is that the complete motion?
yes.
And then we'll have to look for a second.
I'm just, okay, I'm looking for a second on that.
I'll second.
Now we're looking for further discussion. My discussion is we didn't mention windows, did you? In the motion, could you repeat
It's
that?
included
The
in the
windows
staff
are,
comments.
yeah, number 2.
Okay, so you didn't, okay, thank you. I didn't catch that. Okay, so without that, any further discussions on the motion that we have on the table? And if not, I'm looking for a vote.
I guess my only discussion before voting would be on that. For the garage thing, is there a particular thing that we're looking for the staff review for the garage, or?
You know, for discussion, you know, not necessarily answering your question, but for discussion, I know that, you know, our entry doors can't be aluminum.
Yeah.
But I don't remember off the top of my head you know, what does our UDO state as it relates to approved materials for garage doors? But I wouldn't imagine that a flat panel aluminum would be an approved finish.
Yeah.
So if it was to be some sort of veneered aluminum flat panel that was veneered in an approved material, then that would be acceptable and could be approved by staff.
I can say that the UDO does not speak to the material for garage doors.
That's kind of surprising.
That's a whole.
So that's still, the motion was made and
We can take a look at it to ensure that it meets the character of the structure, and can bring something back to HPRC if that is desirable. But, because if it goes, right now it is at staff, so without amending the motion, I can still bring it back to HPRC because that is not an approval authority to take a look at that material or the finish of the material. We don't have anything that says it cannot be an aluminum door, but we could take a look at it just to make sure it's not shiny flat.
Well, let's ask this question, still not asking the applicant from a discussion standpoint. Have we approved a garage in this community, because it is multiple structures? Have we not approved a garage here previously?
Several.
we have,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you know, I guess, I'm gonna say, I'm looking at the garage door that I live in Stock Farm, and it's an aluminum door. The whole neighborhood is aluminum doors. Unfortunately or fortunately, but, you know, they're
Solid panel, flat panel?
not flat panel, but, you know, there's a little texture to it and a window on the top, but You know, in other words, there are no great shakes.
And it probably wouldn't have caught my eye if this
Right, it
wasn't
wasn't
just straight
horizontal.
4 flat panels.
Yeah.
So, given the fact that our UDO does not specify what the garage door finish can or cannot be, then I think that the motion as it stands can still be approved at staff level as an aluminum door, be it flat, be it panelized, or
Yeah.
be it veneered.
Yeah, so as the current motion stands, we're essentially asking for a cut sheet to be provided to staff. And then from there, they can either bring it to HPRC or approve it. Yep, okay.
And I guess it's similar material that's been supplied throughout town.
All right.
Good discussion. And so, any further discussion on the motion? I'm looking for a vote.
There you go.
I know, but that's why I'm just asking.
I'm sorry, I thought you said is there a motion?
No.
Carry on.
So no further discussion on the motion. If not, we're looking for a vote. And all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The motion passes unanimously as stated.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Sorry.
Does that make sense?
Not really, but I guess I'll figure it out.
I will
Katie,
write you an approval letter tomorrow, then I'll have some clarification in there and we can discuss it tomorrow.
Garage door is going to look like.
We don't like the aluminum anyway. That's finish all of them with some type of wood.
I'm sure it's just a placeholder, but now's our only opportunity to say anything.
Correct.
So does that mean going forward, we should be specifying
Everything that you,
more things to bring to you?
everything that you have on your plans
If I
should be
see this
exactly as
again,
it's
I'm
going
gonna
to
say
be
the same
built.
thing.
Even though it's not in the UDO?
Everything
If I
that
see
is
a
on
flat
the
panel
plan,
garage door, I'll still point it out.
everything that is on the plans should be exactly as it is built. For the finished materials, for the number of windows on it, for the shape of it, for the direction of the grain, to the
So they're not.
everything
So in
that
other
is
words,
on the plans, it should be how it is going to be built.
when the town comes to review it, it needs to be what the drawings have a stamp on.
Correct.
And if there's something contrary to the stamp, you may have a situation of not getting a CO right away.
Well, there's a couple more coming back in 2 months.
As long as it goes through the process.
Yeah.
You don't want to have those conversations on,
You don't want
After the
to
fact.
be, you don't want to be talking about not getting your CO when all of a sudden it's like, well, this don't match. You know, make sure it matches.
Well,
And looks like we're now,
it looks good over there. What you're doing, I mean, the job sites, the area looks great. So.
It does.
looks like we're on number 10, and that's discussions. I mean, we're completed here, and so discussions. Katie, do you have anything to discuss? Anyone here?
Nope,
Discussions?
no discussion.
Anyone? No discussion, so that means I'm looking for a motion for the one, item 11, which is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussions? And if not, vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Perfect, meeting adjourned.
Approved. Next meeting is Wednesday, July 6th. And boy, we just made the meeting today for the